Ally PLM.
Hello, my name is Chad Varney, and I'm an application engineer at Ally PLM Solutions. I'd like to welcome you today to today's NX Lunch Bytes session. Today we're looking at what's new in an X11 CAM. There are several great enhancements in an X11, and we're going to be doing two different sessions about what's new in an X11 CAM. Today's session will be part 1. Then we're going to follow up with a part 2 to cover even more of the NX11 enhancements. Today's agenda will be what's new in an X11 CAM, part 1. We're going to break this down into two different sections. First being general enhancements, then homemaking enhancements. In the general enhancements, we'll cover work instructions, switch windows, IPW settings and manufacturing preferences, gouge checking with non-uniform stock. In the homemaking section, we'll talk about new operation type called deep drilling, tracking points for drilling cycles and non-cutting moves, and then drilling perpendicular to contoured faces. Just as a reminder, some of these new enhancements that you'll be seeing in today's Lunch Bytes session were added in maintenance releases of NX10. So let's get started. So the first topic that we're going to look at is work instructions. Work instructions allows users to create detailed information about things like setups, tools, and operations. Work instructions are Excel-based templates that can be modified for your specific requirements. There's two different types of output for work instructions. That's HTML and PDF format. Work instructions can include drawings as well. Work instructions can also maintain associativity to the design model. So let's take a look at authoring work instructions for setup information. We'll first create an operation. We're going to pick work instruction from the drop-down list. We're going to name it setup info. And in the program group, I've got a group called work instructions. We're going to use the setup instructions template. And underneath the sheet, we're going to create a view, or basically a snapshot, of the part and fixture. And that immediately displays in the preview window created by the work instructions, as you can see here. And next, we're going to go ahead and enter any setup information required for this setup. So I'm going to type use fixture and then give it a fixture number. And then I'm going to give them information about where to set the origin of the part. Alright, so that concludes all of the information needed for the setup sheet. I'm going to go ahead and preview the output. Then I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And then now I'm going to output the setup sheet. So I'm going to go to Work Instructions, Publish, and I'm going to output it in PDF format. Select the location and output into PDF format. And as you can see here, here's my PDF. Notice it has a table of contents with only one sheet, but now it has the setup information that I had typed in PDF format, ready to go out to the shop floor. So now let's take a look at one more option in creating setup information. We're going to go ahead and name this one Setup Info 2. And instead of the setup instructions, we're going to use setup instructions with image. What this allows us to do is to bring in an actual image of the actual machine setup. So you're able to browse out to a certain file or a certain JPEG and import an actual image of the part and the fixture on the machine, as you can see here. So instead of using the screen capture inside of NX, we're able to use an actual image of the setup. And then I would continue on giving it the necessary setup information and so on. So again, this is just a different way to do setup sheets. One way being the screen capture inside of NX, and the other being an actual image. Alright, now let's take a look at authoring work instructions for an operation list. We're going to use create operation, name this operation list, and select the operation list template. We're going to take a screenshot of the part, and then I can enter in any information needed about the operations that we're going to be listing. And then we're going to select where to get the operation list from. So I'm going to select the Milling 100 program group. And we'll take a look at the preview. Notice the operations listed are only the operations from the Milling 100 program group. We have information about the tool setup, the program group, and then the toolpath time. Go ahead and hit OK, and then I can publish this as well using the PDF format. Okay, here's the PDF and the operation list. Okay, let's take a look at work instructions for a tool list. I'm going to do create operation, name this tool list, I'm going to use the tool list by name template. This template has two different drawings. So what I can do is import a drawing that I've already created. Notice I've already created a drawing for one of the tool holders that will be used. And I've also created another drawing that shows another tool holder that I'll be using. I can create multiple sheets if needed. This will be done in the template. Then I'm going to select the tool list, select the program group that I'm getting the tool list from, and then OK. And notice in the preview we get the list of tools, tool number, tool diameter, flute length, and the operations that are used with that specific tool. Okay, just to wrap up publishing work instructions, one of the things I wanted to mention, in order to be able to publish work instructions to a PDF, you do need to install a PDF file generator. The information for this can be found in the NX help documentation, as you can see shown here. There's a link where you can download the appropriate PDF file generator. And also, I wanted to mention where the Excel templates are located. As you can see here, the Excel templates are located in Program Files, Siemens, NX11, Mock, Resource, OWI. Alright, another enhancement in NX11 is IPW settings inside of manufacturing preferences. Previously, IPW settings were only available inside of customer defaults. Now they can be edited in manufacturing preferences. Let's take a look. So as you can see here, the IPW settings are somewhat rough. The finish on the part is somewhat distorted. So I'm going to go into manufacturing preferences, geometry, in-process workpiece tolerances, and change the chordal tolerance. Go ahead and apply that, and then go ahead and run the verification. Okay, and as you can see here, the IPW looks much better. It's much smoother, and there's not very much distortion, even when you zoom in on the part. So that's a very nice enhancement there. Another general enhancement in NX11 is the ability to gouge check when using non-uniform stock. Let's take a look. So in my workpiece, I've defined 0 stock on all of the part except for the 4 surfaces in the pocket on the top. So on the pocket on the top, I'm going to define 10,000 stock on those faces. Again, creating non-uniform stock on the part shape. After this change, I'll need to regenerate the operations. And the warning message is telling me that my cavity mill operation, the tool is too big to go inside that pocket. One of the other things you'll notice in NX11 is the information window. Notice we have these text editor options inside the information window. Again, another new feature in NX11. So let's take a look at our Z-level profile operation. When I go into Gogue Check, Notice I now have the List Non-Uniform Stock option, and then in the information window it will show 0 stock on the majority of the part, and then the custom data stock of 10 thousandths on the other section of the part. In previous releases, we would have gotten a warning message telling us that all stock and part offsets would have been ignored. Alright, now we're going to talk about our next topic, which is homemaking improvements in NX11. There are several homemaking improvements in NX11. Studies have shown that homemaking is actually 60% faster than the old point-to-point drilling operations. This is definitely the way that Siemens is going with the homemaking operations versus the drilling operations. And in fact, the drilling subtype is removed from the out-of-the-box templates. However, if you do need to use the old point-to-point drilling operations and would like those included in the out-of-the-box templates, you can go to the template set folder and open the cam general file and uncomment those out, as you can see here. So let's take a look at the new deep hole drilling operation. Notice I already have the pilot hole operation created. Next, I'm going to use the deep hole drilling operation. I'm going to specify feature geometry, selecting the 2 cross holes, and notice that we have the option for control point. We have 2 options, machining feature and in-process feature. The machining feature is most likely the most desired behavior. What this will do is the tool will rapid to the machining feature and then approach and a feed rate through the portion of the hole that has been pilot drilled. The other option is in-process feature. Using this option, the tool will rapid until where the pilot drill had left off. So it would rapid into the pilot hole and then start feed rate from there. We're going to use machining feature. And generate the operation. Inside of the cycle parameters, we also see some new enhancements. Notice we have coolant options and cut conditions. This is new in NX11. Okay, the next feature we're going to talk about is tracking points for drilling cycles and non-cutting moves. We can set those separately now. That's a new enhancement in the NX11. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a step drill. And give it the correct diameters. And I'm going to create an operation for centerline drilling. In the centerline drilling dialog, under Tool category, Notice I have tracking data. In the tracking data, I have three different options. These tracking points were automatically created when I created the step drill. So for non-cutting moves, which is what the tracking data under cutter compensation defines, I'm going to use tip. So all of my non-cutting moves will be tracked to the tip of the tool. Now where I define start point and depth, I'm going to use the depth option endpoint and specify the co-bore in the end of the part. And then instead of using the tool tip or tool shoulder, I'm going to use the new cycle tracking point option. By using the new cycle tracking point option, I'm going to use the top, which is the step part of the step drill. Go ahead and generate that operation. And as you can see in the 2D, we have used the top tracking point to complete the co-bore. And we can take a look at this in Verify. Notice in the non-cutting moves we're using the tip of the tool. Now when we switch over to the drilling operation itself, we are tracking to the top or the step shape. And the last thing that we're going to talk about is the new enhancement for drilling perpendicular or normal to a contoured face. In previous releases, this wasn't an option for automatic hole making. So we're going to create a point set on this contoured face. I'm going to use point set, face points. I'm just going to select the radius face. Okay, and now we are going to create a hole making operation. And I'm going to use specify feature geometry. I'm going to use machining features and set my selection filter to point. Go ahead and select the points. And as you can see, now all the points are normal to the face that they were created on. I'm going to change the depth. Alright, that looks good. And we'll go ahead and generate that. Another thing that I'll mention is when you create the holes, they must be created with either point on face or face points in order for this enhancement to be used. And I'll go ahead and go back into the feature group and optimize the path. Okay, that looks better. And now we'll generate the operation again. And again, now we see the tool axis perpendicular to the contoured face. Okay, well, that's all the topics that we're going to look at in part 1 of what's new in an X11 CAM. You can find a complete list of NX11 enhancements in the What's New guide found under File, Help, What's New guide. Also, be sure to look for our part 2 video where we'll take an even closer look at what's new in an X11 CAM. I also want to remind you that you can check out all of our previous Lunch Bytes replays on our website by going to www.liplm.com. Also, be sure to check out our complete list of NX training classes. I'd like to thank you for joining us. Have a great day.
LIPLM,